Want to hear a pretty cool story? So several years ago, I think 2020 or 2021, I can't remember exactly which year, my father passed away. Okay, my father was 54. We were super close. All of my siblings and my dad were super close. So it kind of hit us right in the gut. You know, it was not good, and I didn't handle it very well. Our family is young, okay, and so like we haven't really had to deal with death all that often in our family, fortunately, up to that point. So my dad died, and I handled it about the worst possible way that you can handle it. And then his mother passed away shortly after that, and we had already lost my grandfather before my dad passed away, and so we lost my dad and both of his parents within like a year and a half of one another, give or take. So it wasn't good, and so I wasn't handling it very well. But prior to my dad passing away, I had sent him some music to listen to, and it was, my wife and I were in a thrift store here in Mobile, and I found a Sister Hazel CD, an album. I didn't know that they'd come out with anything recent, because I honestly hadn't paid attention to them since I was a kid. You used to hear them on the radio all the time. I know in Birmingham on the X, they played them literally every day. And I know this isn't a racing story, but I'm getting to that, so just bear with me. So I'd sent him some music to listen to, and it was Sister Hazel, and it was off of that album. It was Lighter in the Dark, or Light in the Dark was the name of the album. And he enjoyed it, and so we listened to that together, and that was one of the last things that we did before he died, because it was unexpected. He passed away. At least for me it was. He was sick, but he had been sick my entire life, and so from military service. And so anyways, we listened to that music, and we both enjoyed it. And so he passed away, and so I listened to it all the time after that. Well, Sister Hazel came to Mobile to play at the fairgrounds. This is, I don't know, a year or two after Dad died. And we go to the show, and there's a fair amount of people there, not a ton. And so I'm standing there, and I'm listening to the music, and they get ready to play a song, and it ended up being a song from Lighter in the Dark, or Light in the Dark. I'm sorry, I can't remember if it's Lighter. It doesn't matter. Anyways. So, before they get ready to play a song, they go to the mic, and they start calling my name out. You know, like, Forrest, is Forrest here, Forrest Robbins. And I'm kind of in shock. I'm like, wait, what? Why are y'all asking for me? And so I finally threw my hand up. I'm like, yeah, right here. And they put the spotlight on me, and they started giving me some words of encouragement and trying to help lift me up. And I didn't understand, but then, like, as they were speaking, it dawned on me that my wife had something to do with it. Well, it turns out that she had messaged them on Facebook a day or two prior to the show and told them what was going on, and asked if they could do anything, if they could say something, whatever. And they never responded to her, didn't let her know that they were going to do anything. So it was a complete surprise to both of us. Anyways, one of the coolest things, and it just came to me this morning because I was listening to some of their music. Usually when I wake up in the mornings, I listen to music to kind of get going, and been listening to that for the past couple of days. So, anyways, cool story, man. What's not a cool story though is what happened in the Supercar race at Darwin last night. Well, not during the race, but before the race. I think it's ridiculous. We're gonna get into that, and we're gonna talk about some other things, motorsports related. If you enjoy listening to me ramble, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, leave a comment, share this video, tell your friends, shout it from the rooftops. The works. We are still under copyright strike, so we are getting like virtually no views. Our reach went basically to nothing. You know, we were getting thousands of views per video to literally like 50 and 60 overnight as soon as that happened. And it's from some old videos that, you know, back when we first started, we didn't know what we were doing. And so the copyright strikes are legitimate, but, you know, it is what it is. We'll get through it. So, you know, any help by sharing and spreading the word is much appreciated. If you're interested in diecast cars, t-shirts, hats, any kind of racing memorabilia like this. Isn't that awesome? Lake Speed, Bud Moore's Ford from 1994. Yep, that's pretty cool. Anyways, make sure to check out our eBay. The link is in the description. Without further ado, let's get into it. So I was watching Supercars last night. I've been watching it all weekend. They're in Darwin, which is the Northern Territory in Australia, and the race has been all right. I mean, it's been a Triple Eight snooze fest, basically. I mean, there's been some good racing throughout the field, but up front, it's just been Triple Eight. It's basically, aside from the odd race here or there, that's basically how it's been since the new car has been incorporated. But, well, other than when Erebus smoked everybody that one year. Excluding that, it's been a Triple Eight show. And that's fine. You know, I've got no problem with that. But before the race last night, they did a land acknowledgement. And then they did a little ditty about diversity and inclusion before the race. And I just don't understand. I don't understand. Okay, they've been racing at Darwin since like 98, 99. And I went back and looked just to make sure that I'm not losing my mind, because I remember watching those races when I was a kid, and they didn't do any of this stuff before the races. This is a recent phenomenon. I don't understand, but I just don't get it. Like, why are we doing that? If you paid any attention, I don't know in Australia, because I don't live in Australia, but I know here in America, that stuff has been so divisive over the past 5 or 6 years, ever since everyone like doubled down on all the woke nonsense. And people get offended by the term woke, but I mean, what else? What would you call it? That's what it is. It's virtue signaling. Because I tell you why I say that. I got into a discussion with someone in live chat last night, because I was genuinely just asking a question. I wasn't trying to be rude. I'm not trying to like dunk on anybody. I'm not trying to say that this is stupid or anything like that. I just want someone to explain to me, legitimately, like, what makes Supercars better by doing this stuff before the race? In what way does it advance Supercars? In what way does it make it more internationally appealing by doing these things? In what way? I mean, because most people outside of Australia that are going to, and I'm not saying anything bad about Australians at all. I love Australia. I love Australian people. I love Supercars. But most people, especially from the U.S., you see that and you're like, what? You're virtue signaling to an indigenous people who were conquered by colonizers. This is what I was told last night, by the way, by someone in the chat, is colonization is bad, so we have to give acknowledgement to the people who occupied the land before us. Okay, I don't know about Australia. I don't know the history of Australia that well. I know a little, but I don't know it that well. I'll just be honest with you. I don't, because I'm not Australian. I don't live in Australia. I live in America. I can tell you from American history, the tribes who occupied this land before us were mean. They weren't nice people. You know, if a certain tribe had some land that this tribe wanted, they didn't go up and shake hands and come to an agreement. This tribe invaded that tribe and butchered them, and then kidnapped their women and used them for sex slaves. That's the kind of stuff that happened back then. And then Europeans came over here and conquered them after they had conquered each other for however many years. Now, I'm assuming it's probably a similar situation in Australia. I don't know, but I'm assuming. Now, the notion that colonization is bad is baffling to me, because what you're using right now to watch this, the fact that you're able to watch this in the first place, the fact that I'm able to make this video, all of those things are fruits of colonization. Whether you want to admit it or not, had colonization not happened, none of the luxuries that we enjoy today would likely be around. we wouldn't be able to enjoy them. We wouldn't have technology. We wouldn't have social media. We wouldn't have cell phones. That's the thing, too. The people who complain about colonization, go live with one of these tribes for a week. Shoot, go do it for a day. And when you go, leave your cell phone at home. Okay? Leave all your nice, comfortable clothes, your jeans, your pants, your whatever. Leave all that stuff at home. And go live like you're in this tribe for a day. There's some people that can do it. I doubt the overwhelming majority could. And like I said, the reason is because of colonization. Colonization was not bad in the slightest. In the slightest. The Europeans, when they came to America, they brought civilization with them. What existed here prior to that was not civilization, and I think it equally applies to Australia. You can't say, if you were watching Supercars last night, then you're enjoying the fruits of colonization. I mean, that's just a fact. You can't argue that. You think had colonization never happened, that these tribes would be building race cars, building cell phones? You think they'd have the internet, air conditioning? You think any of those things would exist? No, they wouldn't. Let me just go ahead and answer that for you. They would not. So it's nonsense. Something else is nonsense. I think anyone who watches my channel knows how I feel about the Mexico Xfinity race last week. Daniel Suarez, being the only Mexican driver in the field. He never wins Xfinity races, and then they show up at Mexico and in a backup car that they didn't even have time to wrap. So it just had sponsor logos on it. A one-off ride with a part-time team. And he goes out there and wins the race. I mean, come on. Nonsense. If you believe that was legit, then I've got 100 acres in California that I'm looking to get rid of, if you're interested. I mean, come on. It's just nonsense. And you follow that up with what happened yesterday, which is Connor Zilich's his crew chief, was suspended. Dale Jr. fills in for one race and one race only. And lo and behold, Connor ends up winning the race. And Connor's never come close to victory lane on an oval, but yesterday he did. He got it done. And come on. Come on. It's similar to what happened with Carson in the truck race. Like, I'm totally stoked that Lane won. Love Lane. Dude's awesome. Huge fan. All that stuff. Totally stoked that he won. But that restart violation penalty for Carson at the end of the race was total nonsense. Lane didn't know that he was the control car, so Lane didn't go on that last restart. And so Carson finally went after they sat there and just stalled out, basically. What do you want him to do? Just sit there and get run over? Or just back the entire field up and just not go? And NASCAR doesn't ever wave off restarts like what IndyCar would do. So what do you do? And so, of course, they penalized him. Of course they did. A week after what a lot of people on the internet are calling Mexigate, just all the comments and all the people getting fined and fired, you think a week after that they're going to allow him to win a race? If they have any control over it, you think they're going to allow that? No, of course not. Of course not. The thing, too, is like people are still arguing with me that Spire acted on their own with penalizing Carson when it clearly says in their public statement, which, by the way, here it is. It clearly states that they worked in conjunction with NASCAR. They made sure that the fine was appropriate and satisfied all of NASCAR's requirements. So yeah, NASCAR forced Spire to fine Carson. That's just a fact. And NASCAR forced Hayek to get rid of Tab Boyd. That's also just a fact. But it's interesting that Hayek has refused to make a public statement since all that happened. And then they turned off their comments on their social media. So, I don't understand. Like, especially the Tab Boyd situation. It's like the dude was robbed. So everyone has to be under the same opinion of Mexico. Otherwise, you will get fined or fired. That's absolute nonsense. And the people that aren't mad about it, I don't get it, because these are the same people who were mad back when Denny Hamlin got fined. I don't remember what year it was, but he vaguely said something that wasn't positive about the Gen 6 right after it came out. It was nothing bad. It was just super vague, and they fined him like $50,000. And then Brad Keselowski got fined around the same time. I don't remember what for, something that he said. And NASCAR tried to keep it a secret, but then it later came out. All these people who are not complaining about what happened to Carson were complaining about that. Yeah, I don't. You're going to have to help me out here, because I don't understand the difference. It makes no sense. Let's just be real about it. It makes no sense. But we got some good racing on tap for today. So we got IMSA and Watkins Glen. I think Acura is on pole for that. We got Pikes Peak going on right now as I speak. We got IndyCar coming up. You've got the NASCAR race. We had MotoGP this morning, which was really good. I think it was, if I remember correctly, because I was half asleep when I was watching it. Because, where they race, the hours are kind of wonky for us here in America. But I'm pretty sure they were in Italy, if I remember correctly. But anyways, and we've had some rally stuff going on. Really, really, really cool. J.R. Hildebrand, speaking of Pikes Peak, has been going up the mountain in one of Kyle Petty's Hot Wheels Pontiacs from either 99 or 98. I don't remember exactly, or 97. I don't remember what year that particular car is, but he's been going up the mountain in that, and it's sick. If you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it. They've got that thing set up as a rally car, basically. They got like rally wheels on the front of it. Very, very cool. And yes, it's the same J.R. Hildebrand who infamously choked at the end of the 2011 Indy 500. Had the lead going through the last corner, as a rookie, and went too high going around a lap car and put himself in the fence, and Dan Weldon ended up winning the race. It's still one of the craziest finishes of all time of any race, not just the Indy 500, just in general. One of the most insane races I've ever watched. And in hindsight, one of the coolest races too, because Dan ended up, winning, and then he passed away later on in the season. So that was a big deal. But JR is a cool dude, and so I've been following him on social media, watching everything that's going into this weekend. And it's just cool. And Pikes Peak in general is one of the coolest events on the planet. Now it used to be a lot better before they paved the road going up the side of the mountain, or going up the mountain. It used to be like, gravel, dirt, and that was, to me, super gnarly. Obviously, especially when you had inclement weather. If any kind of rain moved in, stuff like that, which nowadays they probably wouldn't even run in it because everyone's afraid to race in the rain nowadays. But, back in the day they weren't. And so they'd go up the mountain, rain or shine, snow, sleet, didn't matter. And I don't know, they may still do that at Pikes Peak, but I doubt it. That's another thing. It's like every series out there, for whatever reason, is afraid to run in inclement weather. We're in 2025. The cars are more advanced now than they've ever been. Yet we've went backwards on racing in inclement weather. We used to do it all the time in cars that were dangerous as hell, and now we got cars that are safer and more technologically savvy, and we refuse to do it. So I don't get that. But speaking of Pikes Peak, since that's going on today, I'm going to leave you guys with a little nod to the past, if you were. Hank Parker Jr. used to race in the Xfinity Series today, but it was the Busch Series back then. And anyone familiar with NASCAR, you're going to know who Hank is. He's friends with Dale Jr. He's been on Dale's podcast. I think the last race that he won, I think he only won twice in the Busch Series. But he drove for, I think it was called Wheelover Giesel or Jessel. I'm not really sure how you say that. And he was teammates with Casey Mears. This is when Casey drove the 66 Phillips Dodge. And they were the first team to run Dodges, one of the first teams to run Dodges after they came back into NASCAR in 2001. And so they, in 2002, moving forward, or I think only, honestly, in 2002, I think it was their last year, if I remember correctly, because I think Carroll the Dr. Pepper team, they started running Dodges in '03, and if I remember the story correctly, that the cars that they ran were Wheelover, Giesel, or Jessel cars. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the story. And so, anyways, all that to say that one of the 2 races that Hank won was at Pikes Peak in '02. And it was a pretty cool race. And that car, to me, one of the coolest liveries of all time, is he was sponsored by GNC, which I don't, nothing against GNC, but I don't shop there, just put it that way. And but nevertheless, the car looked cool, and so did Casey's. Both of them did. They looked really good, and that's the thing about teams that are like not top shelf teams. Their cars typically always look really, really good. And I know the first race that Hank won, I think it was at California in '01, I believe. I'm pretty sure it is. Anyways, it was a fuel mileage race, and he ended up winning. But I'm going to leave you with some footage of the end of the race from 2002 at Pikes Peak, because it was really cool. Really cool seeing a guy who was busting his butt at the time, hustling, trying to make it happen, end up getting a win. And because the Wheelover team was not great. Okay, they were not. I'm trying to think of what top teams were in 2002. They weren't like a Roush or something like that. They were kind of middle of the road. And they weren't awful, but they weren't great. Just kind of mid-pack, that kind of thing. But, you put yourself in a position like that, you're going to screw around eventually and win a race. You just have to keep plugging away, making it happen. Look at Ryan Sieg nowadays. He's been super, super close to win a couple of races. And overall, they typically just run mid-pack. That's not a team that you would say is capable of running with Junior Motorsports on a consistent basis. But they're solid, and it was the same thing back then. So I'm going to leave you with that. And once again, I thank you guys for watching. It means a lot. I appreciate it. If you would like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications, the works. Tell everybody about our channel, so we can get through this little stupid copyright strike business that we're in right now, and come out on the other end. You guys are awesome. Check out our eBay for diecast cars, t-shirts, hats, all that stuff. Auto parts too. Like, we have a lot of auto parts. I haven't clarified that yet, but we have a bunch of stuff. I just sold a hood the other day or a bonnet for a 2008 Kia Spectra, as well as some other parts. So we have, and it's mostly older, well, not old, but like older cars from like the 2000s, stuff like that. So if you need something, check us out, see if we got it. If not, let me know, and we may be able to get it for you. So I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next time. God bless. Peace.
100 fölfele. 100 fölfele, jobb 2 tempó, 20-ra bal 2 tempó, 25-ra bal 2 tempó, 25-re bal 2 szűk, bal 2 szűk, és bal 2, és bal 2, majd 50-re jobb 2, itt a bal 2, és 50-re jobb 2, a jobb 2, majd szűk 50-re jobb 3 az aszfaltra, szűk 50-re jobb 3 az aszfaltra.